The results are in, and thanks to the over 900 people that participated in the Volume 3 music poll, we now know what songs and scores are the favorites out of all of Volume 3. Currently, the Volume 4 music poll is going on. I'll leave a link to that in the description below so you guys can go there and vote for your top 3 songs and or soundtracks in Volume 4, but in this video we will go over the results of the Volume 3 music poll. Now, I won't be playing any of the songs or scores in this video, as YouTube can get a bit tricky with copyright things, so just to avoid that entirely, I will simply go over the results into this video and leave a link in the description to the Volume 3 soundtrack on Spotify, where you guys can go and listen to the songs and scores there. Or you can always rewatch Volume 3 as well. That's always an option. But our 10th place on this list is one of the songs. Receiving 124 votes, we have Not Fall in Love with You. This is the song that played very briefly at the end of the fight between Team Sun and Team Indigo when Team Sun had their victory, when, Sun and Neptune were doing a little bit of a dance. We didn't get the full song, obviously, until we got the soundtrack, so probably not one of the more better-known songs, and it does seem, since it came 10th place, that a couple of the scores did beat out one of the songs. And this kind of makes sense given that Volume 3 had a lot of amazing scores to accompany all of the fights that were happening in the Vital Festival tournament. As our 9th place on this list with 191 votes was the score accompanying the fight between Team RWBY and Team Funky. Very upbeat fight, very jazzy music with Flint, Cole, and Neon, and is actually part of the song that ranked a little bit higher on this list, so no surprise that it beat this out, but there is another score for one of the fights that ranked higher. In our 8th place spot with 241 votes, we have the score accompanying the fight between Crow Bronwyn and Winter Schnee. Definitely one of the more favorite and iconic fights of Volume 3, and it's no surprise that it is as favored as it is, especially the music that accompanied it, definitely making the fight, or enhancing it at the very least, definitely one of the more memorable ones, and it's no surprise that it is the favorite score out of all of them so far, as the next 7 places on this list are all of the songs. Now, our 7th place on this list, with 262 votes, was a bit surprising to me, actually. It's one I voted for and I thought would have made the top 5, but It's My Turn, the song that accompanied Team RWBY versus Team Auburn. One of the ones that I absolutely love from Volume 3. I think that's in part because I love Team Auburn so much, and the fight between Team RWBY and Team Auburn, how it opened up Volume 3, was definitely iconic and a great way to open up the volume in general. But unfortunately, since it ranked 7th, it will not be moving on to the best music in all of RWBY poll, much to my dismay. And the same is also true for our 6th place on this list. With 300 votes even, we have Cold. This is a song that played in the Volume 3 credits, after the initial Volume 3 credits, and this kind of covered also the tribute to Monty that was at the end of Volume 3, as unfortunately this was the last volume that Monty worked on himself. Definitely a bit of a somber song, but one that I'm happy to see get quite a few votes, and definitely deserves a place on this list. But it didn't get enough votes to make the top 5, so it will not be moving on to the Best Music poll either. But now we move on to our 5th place, and the first to qualify for the Best Music in all of RWBY. And no surprise, with 316 votes, we have Neon. This is the full song that accompanied the fight between Team RWBY and Team Funky, so kind of adding the votes together along with RWBY versus Funky, this definitely qualifies and probably would rank higher if RWBY versus Funky and Neon were all included in one, but Neon, the full song that accompanied Flint, Cole, and Neon Cat, definitely an upbeat song, and probably one of the most memorable songs of Volume 3, in my opinion, because it's very different than other songs we were used to in RWBY. Not to mention, the most popular episode score out of all of them was Episode 5, which was the fight between Team RWBY and Funky, which got 89 votes, ranked in our 11th place, so yeah, a lot of people are definitely a fan of this song, and I'm curious to see how it's going to do matching up against the songs from all of the other volumes. But moving on to the 4th place on this list with 327 votes, we have Mirror Mirror Part 2. This is Weiss's personal theme, the second part of it. We had Red Like Roses Part 2 get the top spot in Volume 1, and now Mirror Mirror Part 2 gets the 4th spot in Volume 3. This song played very briefly in Volume 3 when Weiss was watching Winter's ship take off after Winter had given her that little lecture and lesson on summoning. So not one we really got to hear much of in Volume 3 itself, but certainly one that a lot of people are a fan of. but not as much of a fan as people are of the top 3 songs on this list, as our third place spot has quite a jump in the number of votes that it received. Jumping all the way to 423 votes, we have I'm the One. This is the song that played during the fight between Emerald and Mercury and Yatsuhashi and Coco, where Emerald and Mercury kind of wiped the floor with Yatsu and Coco. So, a memorable fight in the RWBY series and a memorable song to go along with it that definitely has a lot of fans. Actually, the top 3 on this list were fairly close, as our second place on this list, Divide, had 435 votes. This is the song that ended off the volume itself. After the closing on the volume and the end credits played, this is the song that accompanied it. But the ending credits got the second place on this list, and all of you, I'm sure, can guess what got the first place on this list. With 461 votes, we have When It Falls. This is the opening to Volume 3. Definitely one that I'm sure a lot of people remember, as it had some pretty ominous visuals to go along with it. That things were going to change in this volume. It seemed Team RWBY and Team Juniper were getting separated as they were falling, literally, and definitely gave a vibe for what the volume was going to entail by the end of it, especially now after seeing the entire volume, we know what it was implying. So overall, a lot of really great songs in Volume 3, and the top 5 from this poll will move on to the best music poll in all of RWBY that will be held a few weeks from now after we cover each individual volume. As I mentioned, the Volume 4 music poll is currently going on. It will end on Friday at midnight, and after that, each week we will go over Volume 5, 6, and 7, and after that will be the best music in all of RWBY poll, consisting of the top 5 from each volume. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to that. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with all of the goings on this channel, the Phoenix Festival Tournament, the other content coming out alongside it. Admittedly, I haven't been able to put out that much other content over the last few weeks, as the tournament has been eating up a lot of my time, but as the tournament progresses, there are less matches to go over, and my time is starting to free up again. So there will be more content coming, a lot more theories and other videos I want to get out before Volume 8 starts, so I'm hoping to get going on that very soon, so look forward to that. Make sure to subscribe to keep up with it. Tweet me at PhoenixKnight7, join our Discord server, links in the description below as well, and I'll see you guys in the next video.